Now, September 11th was a day filled with tragedy. But on that day and the weeks following, it was also filled with those wanting to help and serve. More than 2 decades later, a local master sergeant in the New York National Guard is reflecting on his time at Ground Zero. This is his story. September 11th, 2001. It's a day Master Sergeant Peter Hyland will never forget.
I was working for the Bank of New York down in Lower Manhattan. I worked across the street from 7 World Trade Center, and I was coming out of the subway when the first plane hit, and I saw the fireball from the second plane hit.
His first instinct as company commander with the 69th Infantry in Long Island was to help, but knew his first responsibility was getting his staff to safety.
The roads in some places were packed like Times Square and on New Year's Eve, and no one was moving, and everyone was just staring at the tower. When the South Tower fell, it became pandemonium. Once we got out, we got hit by the falling of the North Tower, and we ran into a deli just to get away from all the dust cloud. It was nerve-wracking. It was scary.
Hyland made his way to the battalion headquarters and eventually to his own armory in Freeport, Long Island. In the middle of the night, they got on trucks and drove into the city, where they would remain on and off for a number of weeks. Their main role was security in and around Ground Zero.
It was 12 hours on, 12 hours off.
Surrounded by those looking for their missing loved ones while worrying for their own.
My mother worked in the same building, and I saw her as we were evacuating, and I didn't hear from her for 3 weeks.
The tragedy hitting hard for one of his fellow soldiers.
His father worked at the Trade Center. He was found. He had fractures, and he was pulled out. His uncle also worked at the Trade Center, and he was unaccounted for. And I found him breaking down, and I just talked to him, and I was trying to send him home. And he said that his uncle would want him there, and he stayed.
Hyland says looking back on his years of service, the National Guard has allowed him to serve his community in its toughest moments and has also given him a family.
There is a bond, and it's a second family. And I know one day when I retire, this is one family I'm really going to miss.
To learn more about the New York National Guard's efforts on and after September 11th, 2001, including interviews and photographs, we will have a link on our website, WBNG.com.